I've been talking too much. I want to get you all into the exercise. So if you look at the README, here's what you're going to be doing. If you go down to the section that's called models underneath the exercises, the location for that is going to be in the exercises/models folder. And here's some important commands that you'll have to use to actually work with this exercise. There's really only one, and it's a test command. And if you have yarn, you can run this command. If you have npm, you can run this command. Either one is going to run tests for this exercise, and it's only going to run tests for this exercise and not testing other exercises, which was a big problem. So it's only going to run tests for this one, and you don't have to worry about ignoring the other ones. So once you have that and you understand what's going on here, basically this exercise is going to have you create connection logic, which is what we talked about, how to connect to a MongoDB. And then you're going to create some schemas. And then you're going to use those schemas, you're going to create some CRUD functionality. That's it. So on this checklist, first you need to do is check out to the start branch. If you haven't already, check out to that branch. Install the node modules with npm or yarn if you haven't already. Install those. Check the README, which we're looking at right now, but refer to this README if you need to figure out what the test command was, if you have a problem with the installation, any links or resources I talked about that's going to be in this README. And then getting to the code, the first thing you're going to do is actually create connection logic inside of connect.js. So if you go to connect.js, right now it's just returning a promise.reject. It's doing that on purpose because I needed it to fail on the test. If I just didn't put anything here, the test would just hang and you wouldn't know what to do. So right now it's literally just throwing a promise.reject, which basically just breaks. So you need to fix that to where, given that URL that it's seeing, it connects to a Mongo database. So you should just take a URL and connect to a database. That's what it should do. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is finish the user schema so that the user model test passes. So if you go inside of models, user, there's a schema in here, and it's got some fields on it. It looks pretty complete. There's some stuff on here. But if you run the test for it, it's going to fail. So you got to read the test. The test is very descriptive about what it's asking for. You need to fulfill those needs for the test. It's going to say, oh, we expected this. This should have been this. Just make the test pass for this schema. And the tests, like I said, are pretty descriptive. You can even go look at the test in the __test___ folder inside of user spec. All the tests you will see inside of here. So if you still can't figure it out, read the test, and if not, I'll help you out. But they're pretty descriptive. So once you get that, the last thing you need to do is complete the CRUD functions with the user model and get all the CRUD tests to pass. So inside that same folder, there's a CRUD.js, and there's just a whole bunch of empty functions. There's a get user by ID, get all users, create a user, remove a user by an ID, and update a user by an ID. And he's passing these arguments. There's tests for all of these, so all those tests have to pass as well. And you're just going to be using the user model based on the schema that you already fixed to fulfill these. And they're mostly just generic CRUD. And again, you know if you passed if all the tests pass. And again, the tests are very specific. You can look at the test. You can even look at the test to help you out with some of the answers for some of the other ones, because I have to mock a lot of things out in the test, so you can look at how I'm creating stuff. It kind of gives you tips on what you should be doing. So if you run the test, so if we go to the package.json, I'm sorry, the README, so many files. I'm going to grab, I use yarn, so I'm going to use the yarn command. And then I'm just going to say this. So what you're going to do is, one, it's only going to run the 2 tests inside of models. So we got a CRUD spec, and then we have a user spec. And you're using Jest, so Jest runs the test in parallel. And later on, I'm going to talk about how I set all this up, because this is actually very advanced, how to set up Mongo with Jest and to get everything working parallel. But I don't want you to get distracted by that. But yes, the tests are running in parallel. If you try to do a console.log in a test and you don't see it, it's because it's running in parallel in like different environments, and it's not going to spit out the logs. So I just want you all to be aware of that. So yeah, once you run the test, everything's just going to fail, right? You're going to see user CRUD, this expected something, it failed. And you can see that it's literally pointing to where it's failing. And this is going to be for the user CRUD, which is the CRUD file. And then if you scroll down, depending on what order your test is executed in, you're going to see one for the user model. And again, there's a few tests here that have to pass, and they're very descriptive as well. First name must be required. Last name must be required. Email must be required. Email must be unique. They're very descriptive on what they're asking, and it's going to run all the tests for that. All you have to do is just fill out the code. You don't have to connect it back to the test. The test is already connected. It's going to run everything. You just got to listen to what it's saying. And once all this is good, you're going to get all green here. And you should have 11 passed tests with 2 passed suites.